Dallas police say a group of suspects in a stolen vehicle rammed their officers, and those officers then opened fire. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes.
I'm Blake Hansen. It is 9 o'clock. It happened this afternoon at the Lakeside Apartments off Walnut Hill Lane in US 75. From Sky 4, you can see that vehicle surrounded one of the squad cars with its airbag deployed. Police say at least one suspect was shot and wounded. Fox 4's David Santendry live at Dallas Police Headquarters with the latest in the investigation. David.
And today we saw officers with long guns searching through that apartment complex, and that's because one of those 4 suspects is still on the run. It's difficult to see, but you can hear the moment Dallas police squad cars roll up on a stolen truck, and then that truck accelerates and rams into them. Seconds later, officers fire their weapons.
It was crazy, to be in the house and just hear some random gunshots.
Investigators collected evidence on scene at the Lakeside Apartments near Walnut Hill Lane, just off US 75. It was early Thursday morning when undercover officers received a flock camera hit to a stolen red GMC pickup truck. The undercovers located it at the complex, occupied, so they requested backup, specifically uniformed officers. Once those uniformed officers arrived, however, the police chief says the truck accelerated and rammed into 2 squad cars. You can see an airbag in one of the squad cars deployed. That's when officers opened fire.
All I heard was boom, 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 boom.
One suspect was shot and taken to a hospital. An evidence marker appears to show where a stray bullet entered an apartment. A second suspect has a non-shooting related injury and was taken to a hospital. A third suspect was arrested. Police are still searching for a 4th suspect who ran away.
There is nothing routine about this job. What was a stolen vehicle that officers responded to turns into be a deadly encounter with police officers getting rammed, with armed suspects fleeing, and officers putting their lives on the line.
3 suspect weapons were found at the scene, and it turns out one of the suspects in custody has an active murder warrant in Dallas.
I stopped doing stupid stuff.
Dallas Police Chief Eddie Garcia would not say which suspect has the murder warrant or what killing it's connected to. Certainly a wild afternoon for people living at the complex.
Police kind of told me to go back in and mind my business. I'm just seeing the stretchers, the yellow tape and stuff like that.
It's unclear if any of those suspects fired their guns at officers. Chief Garcia says in the near future they plan to release body camera or possibly dash camera footage of the incident, and at that point in time he'll take questions and elaborate on what they say happened over at the scene. That is a very standard protocol for this department. For now, Blake and Heather, I'll send it back to y'all.
All right, David.
One of the suspects taken into custody after yesterday's officer-involved shooting in Dallas was wanted for 2 counts of capital murder. We brought you the story as breaking news. 4 people were in the stolen red pickup. 1 was shot by police and taken into custody. 2 others were arrested. 1 got away. Fox 4's Sean Rabb in studio now with what's new in this case. Sean.
And the 19-year-old, one of the 4 in that stolen pickup truck, was wanted for that double murder that happened back in March. Deontay Quindell Moore is in the Dallas County Jail, charged with 2 counts of capital murder. His bond, $1.5 million. March 22nd, Dallas police found 18-year-old Cameron Stacy dead outside of a vehicle in the parking lot of Uncle Lee Grocery, 3800 Dixon, South Dallas. 18-year-old Kamari Smith Capps dead in the driver's seat. Both shot to death. Now, we obtained the arrest affidavit for Moore. Here's what it says. That social media conversation showed that Smith Capps was going to sell Glock switches to Moore, and that Moore's phone registered off of a cell phone tower near that offense location, and that both suspects were caught on tape getting out of the victim's car and running away before the capital murder cases. Deontay Quindell Moore had only 1 charge that we could find, just 1, and that was an evading case from 2022. Now, these Glock switches, they're small devices that can be attached to a Glock semi-automatic, converting it to a rapid-fire machine gun-like pistol. Last month, the feds announced Operation Kill Switch in Texas to try and stop the switches, which are right now sweeping streets. Several guns were also found in that stolen pickup truck Thursday. Dallas Police Chief Eddie Garcia will go through squad car and body camera video Tuesday afternoon, as he does with every officer-involved shooting. We may also learn at that time if any switches were also found in that stolen pickup truck.
All right, more to come on this. Sean Rabb, thank you. 2 young men are charged with capital murder for the shooting death of an 18-year-old near downtown Dallas. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes.
I'm Steve Eager. Police say the men were looking to rob the victim. Arrest paperwork says Isaiah Simmons and Christopher Gaines chased down the victim. 2 teenage girls were previously arrested for murder, and police are still looking for a 5th suspect. Fox 4's David Centenary is in Dallas tonight with the story. David.
Well, a Dallas police affidavit says the victim was trying to run away from being robbed, but then he was shot in the back. 18-year-old Isaiah Simmons and 19-year-old Christopher Gaines now charged with capital murder in the shooting death of an 18-year-old man they were randomly trying to rob in Dallas's Victory Park, according to arrest affidavits.
It just don't look like a place where someone would want to come and try to rob someone.
The shooting happened in the early morning hours of July 14th at the intersection of Houston Street and Nowitzki Way, centered around the American Airlines Center, restaurants, and more.
I wouldn't think that would happen over here.
According to police, Simmons, Gaines, and a group of people were driving a vehicle they stole during a robbery carjacking earlier that day. They unsuccessfully tried to rob someone else and then rolled upon a group of people near the AAC. They sent 2 teenage girls who were with them to distract the group.
I have heard of people like using females to actually get to people.
Then Simmons and Gaines ran up on them. 18-year-old Jake Reynosa ran, but police say Simmons shot Reynosa in the back. Surveillance video captured the crime.
You know, it's early hours of the morning, someone being killed over a cell phone. You know, you think we're past times like that.
Russell Wilson is a former prosecutor and current criminal defense attorney not connected to this case. We asked for his take about the 2 teenage girls who allegedly admitted to police they were trying to rob people. They are also charged with capital murder.
They'll receive a lot of protections of the juvenile system. For example, their names won't be disclosed, and the punishment that they ultimately face is significantly less than those who are adults.
According to police, Simmons, who pulled the trigger, admitted to his family he was trying to rob people. His family took him to interview with police this past weekend before he was charged. Fox 4 spoke with a family member of Reynosa, the 18-year-old who was killed and robbed of his cell phone. That family member says he was in Dallas hanging out with friends.
I know it's not going to be easy, but I hope that they're able to find peace with it.
Dallas PD is still searching for a 5th suspect. That's the getaway driver, according to an affidavit. Now, Simmons' bond is $1 million and Gaines' bond is $2 million, but it's unclear why Simmons' bond is half of that $2 million since he is the one who is accused of shooting that victim.
Home security video captured 2 thieves stealing a Dallas man's Kia from his apartment complex, and this was just one of 2 recent incidents at that complex involving stolen Kias. The victim spoke with Fox 4's Amelia Jones, who joins us live at the Dallas Police Department. Amelia.
Heather, that car owner told me he just bought a steering wheel lock but didn't have time to put it on yet. Investigators told him that since his car was a Kia, it might have been targeted because of a social media trend that's led to an increase in the number of vehicle thefts involving Kias and Hyundais.
Last Friday, Stephen Bingo was out walking his dog around his unit at the North Star Apartments on Forest Lane.
And I looked out over the parking lot and was like, something is missing, and it was my car.
At first, Bingo thought it was towed, but when he checked his security camera, he saw 2 people, both in dark clothing and one with a backpack, walk over to his car and minutes later drive off.
It's a really violating feeling.
Bingo called Dallas police and filed a report. The next day, the police were back for another call involving a different stolen Kia.
I was in my house and the police came knocking on the door and said, hey, we see you have a camera. Can we take a look at it? And I looked out the window and there was a swarm of cops and they said there had just been another accident.
When Bingo pulled up his security camera footage this time, they saw a white Kia Soul drive into the parking lot. The driver jumped out of the moving car and ran off. The car crashed into another vehicle as police pulled up. Dallas police say the Kia was reported stolen and officers followed it into the apartment complex. They're still looking for the driver.
To have 2 incidents happen back-to-back less than 24 hours apart in the same parking lot makes the area feel really unsafe as it is.
Investigators told Bingo since his car was a Kia, it could have been targeted because of a social media trend that explains how to steal certain Kia models.
So when I see that, I think, like, how would you feel if somebody broke into your car? And I'm having a very hard time understanding.
Bingo isn't hopeful that his car will be found, but he wants to share his experience so others can prevent this from happening to them.
I don't know, like, somebody robbed me of my freedom, my safety, my peace of mind. They didn't just take a car.
That increase in vehicle thefts involving Kias and Hyundais led the car companies to offer free software updates and steering wheel locks for customers. Dallas police didn't provide a suspect description for either of these incidents. If you know anything about these two car thefts, you're asked to contact Dallas police.
A Mesquite police officer and his father, a Rowlett city marshal, were arrested and charged in connection to a violent incident in Wiley. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes.
And I'm Steve Eager. It's 9 o'clock. Police say Mesquite police officer Brian Hill improperly used a police database to gain information about a man, and that his father, Darvin Hill, used that information to find the man and fire gunshots into his car.
But the man they allegedly targeted, no angel either. Police say he was stalking the Mesquite officer's girlfriend and set the officer's motorcycle on fire. Fox 4's David Centendry obtained court documents detailing all of this and joins us now. David.
And depending on which police report you're looking at, there are victims who are also suspects.
I noticed the lights in my home, shining through my home, so I just kind of scoped it out to see what was going on.
On June 25th, Rashonda Aubrey saw and heard Wiley police pulling over Jason Benjamin in her neighborhood.
The person was stopped in the wee hours of the morning looking for an ex-girlfriend.
Benjamin was accused of stalking his ex, who's now dating Mesquite police officer Brian Hill, according to an affidavit, who lives in Wiley. There just wasn't enough evidence to actually link him to some sort of crime.
Correct.
Wiley PD says Benjamin was let go, but minutes later, outside the neighborhood, someone shot into Benjamin's car.
So the officers heard the gunshot.
According to an affidavit, Wiley PD says evidence shows Officer Hill contacted his father, Rowlett City Marshal Darvin Hill, who then came to the area and shot into Benjamin's car. No one was hurt, but Darvin Hill is charged with deadly conduct. Officer Brian Hill is charged with misuse of official information for allegedly using a law enforcement database to provide info about Benjamin's vehicle to his father. He's also charged with giving a false statement to an officer.
Our job is to conduct thorough and in-depth investigations regardless of who is involved.
But according to affidavits, Officer Brian Hill told police Benjamin has been stalking his girlfriend for a while, and there are police reports to back it up. Benjamin is accused of slashing her tires in Garland and setting fire to Officer Hill's motorcycle in Dallas. Evidence appears to support that. Benjamin is now charged with stalking and arson.
So our criminal investigations division has been in contact with the Dallas PD regarding that. However, this investigation is being handled as a separate investigation.
Many moving parts and a whole lot of drama that Aubrey did not expect outside her home.
I'm kind of appalled because I'm looking at Wiley is on the map, you know, for things that I wouldn't have ever expected. We're in a nice, quiet neighborhood.
A City of Rowlett spokesperson is just refusing to answer any of our questions about City Marshal Darvin Hill. We asked if they are aware of these allegations, if he is still employed, but they are just refusing to give us any sort of responses other than saying that they do not comment on personnel matters. Mesquite Police Department, however, is giving us a statement. They say Brian Hill has been placed on administrative leave pending the outcome of these investigations. That's including an internal investigation by Mesquite Police Department. And Brian Hill's attorney reached out to me earlier tonight, sent me a statement. You can view it in its entirety on our website, fox4news.com. But in part, he says that Brian Hill is a 17-year veteran of Mesquite PD and a decorated hero. He says, quote, "There is more to this story, but this is not the time or the place to share it."
Dallas police say a man beat his girlfriend to death, skipped town, and then claimed that he was drugged and being framed for her murder. Witnesses say they heard arguing actually the night before it happened. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager spoke with the victim's sister, who says that she was traumatized, as we can imagine. Peyton.
Heather, and the victim's name is Isis Adger, and her family tells me that she moved here to Dallas about 2 years ago. They didn't really know much about the suspect, but they slowly became suspicious because they stopped hearing from her. A locked apartment off Haskell Avenue with the letter L remains empty. Dallas police say 51-year-old Isis Adger was murdered by her boyfriend, Steven Selman, at their Old East Dallas apartment.
And this was fabric that was in her apartment.
Adger's sister, Makia Adger, lives in Florida. She came to Dallas to pick up her sister's belongings.
And even after seeing the apartment, the condition of the apartment, it is traumatizing.
According to an arrest warrant affidavit Fox 4 obtained on Wednesday, police found Adger on the floor with blunt force trauma on June 26th. Earlier that day, Selman called 911 to report Adger's death, but told dispatch he was being framed. Selman, who's a truck driver, then immediately left town. New details from the arrest paperwork describe the bloody scene, saying, quote, a broken bedpost was possibly used to commit the offense. Makia believes this was a case of domestic violence.
I said, I don't like, what's happening here, and I don't think this is a good person.
During the investigation, a Dallas detective was made aware of an incident between Adger and Selman a month before the murder. Adger was arrested for allegedly punching Selman. When Selman was questioned by police, he claimed he was drugged with Visine and blamed two men who lived downstairs. However, Selman couldn't articulate that anyone else had been in the apartment. He was arrested and booked into jail 2 weeks later.
He took a wonderful, beautiful human, very exceptional human, from the earth for very selfish reasons.
And Heather, witness accounts were also in the arrest warrant affidavit that we obtained today. People who live in that Dallas apartment complex told police that they heard arguing the night before the murder and then immediate silence. We also ran a search this evening, and the suspect does have a criminal history, including family violence charges and also a previous aggravated assault with a deadly weapon charge.
An Arlington pastor was arrested, jailed in Tarrant County, and charged with sex crimes. Good evening, I'm Blake Hansen. Pastor Ronnie Goins' charges came after a woman made an outcry last month. Fox 4's Dion Anglin joins us now with more. Dion?
Hi there, that's right. The pastor or a pastor of an Arlington church is now the focus of a sex assault investigation, and police here say that case is ongoing.
51-year-old Ronnie Goins turned himself in at the Tarrant County Jail. The charges stem from 2 felony warrants, indecent assault and sexual assault.
And I don't believe God wants us to be believers.
A church pastor, according to online information with Koinonia Christian Church in Arlington. Goins is seen in several church videos delivering sermons. He is also referred to as Dr. Ronnie Goins. Police have declined to talk on camera, but through a news release say an adult woman made an outcry involving Goins, and that prompted the investigation. Arlington police have indicated Goins is a past member of their department's clergy and police partnership program, a volunteer group of faith-based community leaders who serve in various ways, such as praying over officers. They say he has also served on the City of Arlington's Unity Council. Early Friday, there was no visible activity at the church campus. Its phone lines indicate the church's offices are regularly closed on Friday.
I want to deal with this as a topic this morning.
Police have released limited information, and it is unclear the relationship between Goins and the alleged victim. Investigators have stopped short of saying there could be more victims involved, but they make clear the sexual assault investigation is ongoing, and they're asking anyone with additional information about the case of Ronnie Goins to contact the department.
A bond set for Goins is at a total of $23,000, and as of late this afternoon, we had not received a response from the church after our phone calls and an email. That's the very latest live. Back to you.
All right, Dion, thanks.
A Dallas woman says men dressed in black from head to toe tried to break into her business but couldn't. Police are trying to determine if those suspects are connected to similar crimes. Fox 4's Alex Boyer joins us live. Alex.
Hi, Clarice. You know, this business owner considers herself lucky because those would-be burglars weren't able to make it inside of her business. She actually contacted us after seeing a story on Fox 4 News where other minority-owned businesses were burglarized, one just down the street. She says that they were dressed very similar, and it appears that the suspects were driving the same exact make and model truck. At Encanto Market and Cocina, located in the Pleasant Grove neighborhood of Dallas, delicious food is what brings paying customers in. But back on July 8th, some unwanted visitors tried to break in with hopes of making a money grab.
Their crowbar actually broke. Because I guess because this is metal, it actually broke and the pieces were there.
Christina Hernandez is the co-owner. She was out of town when the alarm company called to report the attempted break-in.
I guess once they heard the alarm go off, they took off.
Security cameras captured part of the late-night attempt. A black pickup truck pulls into the driveway. At least one person dressed in all black with a face mask on walks up to the front door. Shortly after, the video feed drops.
He knows exactly where he's going. He's going directly to the electrical box that's on the side of the building and cuts the electricity.
Hernandez reported the incident and shared the video with Dallas police. She didn't think much more about it until last Thursday when she saw this story on Fox 4 News.
It's the crowbar, you could see it.
Where two small business owners, one Ceviche Loco, located just a short drive from Hernandez's store, were broken into at night. In both cases, the men were dressed in black with their faces covered, and a black Nissan Titan was the getaway car in the Ceviche Loco case and Hernandez's.
We were like, yes, it was them.
She expressed that sentiment to the Dallas police detective assigned to her case. Since the attempted break-in, Hernandez says the security cameras are no longer tied into the electrical system. She wants other businesses to be aware.
So I'm thinking maybe we were their first target. It's sad and it's terrifying because you don't know who's looking.
And I contacted Dallas police to ask if they believe that these cases are related. I heard back from a spokesperson just a short time ago, and all she would say is that the investigation remains ongoing. Anyone with information about this case should contact Dallas police. Back to you.
All right, Alex, we know you're going to keep us posted about this. Thank you.